Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe and healthy. Today I wanted to give you an overview to the fourth section of the Boom Method, the book I put out last year on Balqueter music. This section of all the things that we've covered so far is probably the least esoteric, but maybe in some ways the most challenging. It's basically an extended series of scales going through all 12 keys. So there's nothing really particularly weird about it or unusual. It's just that the way in which they're put together and the way in which they're sequenced can give you a little window into how I approach constructing a practice that allows me to navigate all the various kinds of techniques and scales that I need to both play classical music and improvise and be nimble and prepared to do whatever I get asked or imagined to do. So the way this is all put together is basically building off of a very gradual approach to chromatics. So when I was going through a little bit of an embouchure change, it's maybe not a full embouchure change, but I realized that I was spreading out in my embouchure as I went into the low register, and I wanted to work on that. I started doing these alternating chromatics descending like this. Basically as a way to both go from the middle register into the lower register and work out the fingers in a very methodical, gradual kind of way. So rather than doing large intervals down, I was trying to minimize both the interval and the pace at which I went from the middle register into the low register. And that helped me kind of keep things compact and forward. And then I started extending that in both directions, so going up and going down, sort of alternating. And I found that to be really, really useful in terms of maintaining a sense of centered balance as I cross the various registers of the instrument. So the first exercise in this expansion series is literally just that. It's a little sloppy there, but the idea is, the way that I'm approaching this is going for the feeling of playing essentially a long tone with a hairpin crescendo. So basically, the way my air is moving and the way that I'm imagining my production from the airstream and the embouchure is basically like this. And I'm imagining that that as I'm going through the exercise, the fingers are kind of just dancing on that airstream. They're not really. I'm not really manipulating things with the embouchure or the airstream in order to make the range change. I mean, there is some happening. There is some adjustments going on, but they're more subconscious in the way that I'm, concentrating during this exercise. So then, using that as a foundation, we just kind of keep adding on to it. So then there's some single tongue in triplets. Etc., etc., just so that you're, balancing the slur with some articulation. Then there's some patterns that I wanted to work out for improvising. So there's, I think, what I called cascades of four. So if you imagine that it's a grouping of 4/16 notes, the first one, if you're starting on the downbeat, is only 3 because the 4 starts on the 4th 16th note of each grouping. So, and just trying to get that to really groove. Then there's sort of reverse cascades in 3. scales are 16th notes, not triplets. So it's so you're getting this phasing articulation across the bar, and then both of those go down and then back up, and then in reverse. So then you've got cascades of 2. Just basically down a whole step, up a half step, all the way down. Then there's reverse cascades in triplets. So this time up a half step, down a minor third, and then in reverse back up. Then there's these Bartok scales, which are just alternating minor third and half step. Right, or in reverse. Like that. And then there's whole tone scales. And then in this one I add the double tongue. And then there's a slower, it's not exactly slow, but a slower triple tongue in chromatics going through hairpin crescendos. And the way that I'm focusing on this one is trying to get the triple tongue to be as tenuto as possible. So not pecky, very full note values. Like that. So you're really feeling the forward and back movement of the air, and keeping the tongue really nice and low and forward in the mouth. Then there's the Clark 5 study. Etc. And then back down, which is an extension that my teacher Jim Thompson taught us. And then there's a couple from Arbin. There's the then there's the etc. And then there's some pentatonics. There's a major pentatonic. Then there's a natural, I guess you could call this the melodic minor pentatonic. And then there's the natural minor pentatonic. I go through those both up and down, and then some diminished scales. Right, and then I do that a few times, and then there's this little sort of pattern that I heard Wayne Bergeron warming up on at work, and included in the book with permission. Like that, and then do it in the other diminished as well. Like that. So that comprises a set of scales for one key. And the idea in the way that I'm approaching this is that you put the metronome on one tempo for this entire section. So that would be, let's say, I'll get my trusty Dr. Beat here. Let's say you choose, just for, clarity's sake in the video, like 100, So, get the accent off of there. I just leave, sorry, low battery. I just leave the metronome on 100 for this entire thing, and I try to do the whole group of these as a set. It's actually going to be a little slow, so let's maybe go like 120. So I'll give you an idea of like how I go through these exercises as far as pacing. So. Then a lot of times I do the next one double speed. Then I think in the book the last two are separated. I've been combining them lately, but not totally perfect, but it gives you an idea of the pace that I'm going through this. So I'm gonna have to cut it there so that this actually makes it up on Instagram. Happy practicing, everybody, and if you have any questions about the way this is all put together, please send them to me. Send me a direct message, and I'll be back real soon to finish out the overviews of the boom method. Hope you're well.